You're about to learn something that most women never figure out, not from their friends, not from dating advice, and definitely not from trying harder. There is a single moment, one simple shift, that when done just once, plants you so deep in a man's mind that he can't stop thinking about you. And the wildest part, he won't even understand why he misses you so much. He won't be able to explain why his chest feels heavy when he thinks about you, why your absence feels louder than anyone else's presence. This isn't about manipulation, it's about understanding, the kind that gives you access to how his mind works, how his heart attaches, and why some women fade from memory while others become impossible to forget. So many women try to make a man miss them by being more present, texting more, showing up more, caring more. But here's the truth, missing doesn't happen when you're doing more. It happens when you stop doing something he never realized he depended on. It's the absence, the quiet shift, the one thing you change that creates a void he can't fill with anyone else. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what that is, step by step. So, before we go further, I want you to ask yourself, are you ready to stop chasing his attention and start becoming the one person he can't get out of his head? Because once you do this, he'll miss you in ways that confuse him, consume him, and he won't even know why. Let's begin. Most people think that making someone miss you is about distance. That if you just disappear for a while, don't text back, or make yourself unavailable, he'll suddenly realize what he lost. And while space can matter, it's not what creates the deep, aching kind of missing that actually changes how a man feels about you. Here's the truth. The emotional trigger that makes a man miss you isn't your absence. It's the loss of a feeling he can't recreate anywhere else. Men don't miss people. They miss how they felt when that person was around. Let me say that again, because this is everything. Men don't miss you. They miss the version of themselves they became when you were there. Think about it. When does a man actually feel regret? When does he start replaying moments, wondering if he messed up? It's not when you're physically gone. It's when he realizes something inside him feels different without you, and he doesn't know how to get it back. You created an emotional state in him. Maybe it was peace, maybe it was excitement, maybe it was being truly seen. Whatever it was, his brain linked that feeling to you. And when you pull away, not just physically but emotionally, he starts searching for it. He tries to find it in other things, other people, old routines, but nothing works. Because that feeling, it belonged to your presence, and now it's missing. This is where most women get it completely wrong. They think making him miss you means making him notice you're not around. But missing isn't about noticing. It's about feeling loss. And loss only hits when something valuable disappears. So if you want him to miss you, really miss you, you can't just leave. You first have to become something his mind registers as essential. Not because you're doing everything for him, but because you created an emotional experience he's never had with anyone else. And then, when you take that away, his system feels it like something's been pulled out of him. He doesn't think, where did she go? He feels, why do I feel so empty? That's the difference. That's what creates longing. And once you understand this, you'll never waste energy trying to be missed by someone who never really felt you in the first place. When a man misses you, truly misses you, it shows up in ways he'll never say out loud. He won't post about it, he won't tell his friends, he might not even admit it to himself. But you'll see it in the small things, the quiet behaviors that tell you exactly what's happening inside his mind. Here's what most women don't realize. Men don't process missing someone through words, they process it through actions. So when he's missing you, he won't send long messages about how much he wishes things were different. Instead, he'll start doing things that seem random but are actually him trying to feel close to you again. He'll check your social media, not because he's stalking you, but because seeing your face, even through a screen, gives him a piece of the feeling he's craving. He'll reach out with something small, a song, a memory, a random question that doesn't really need an answer. Not because he needs information, but because he needs connection. He needs to know you're still reachable, still part of his world somehow. Or he'll bring you up in conversations, casually, like it's nothing important. But they feel it. And if your energy is still pointed toward him, still waiting for his reaction, still hoping he sees, he knows, and it keeps you in his world as someone who's available, not someone who's actually moved on. Another huge mistake, trying to prove you're fine without him. posting about how happy you are, how much fun you're having, how completely unbothered you've become. But here's the thing, when you're trying to prove anything, it shows. And what it actually says is that you still care what he thinks, which means you haven't really left. You're just performing distance. And performance doesn't create missing, it creates doubt. The women who actually make men miss them aren't trying to be missed. They're not planning their next move. They're not checking if he's paying attention. They've genuinely shifted. They've moved their focus off him and back onto their own lives, not as a game, but as a real choice to reclaim their energy. And that shift, that real shift, is what he feels in his bones. Not because you showed him proof, but because you stopped performing completely. Here's what that looks like. You're not avoiding him. You're just not seeking him out. You're not ignoring his messages to play games. You respond when it feels right and you don't when it doesn't. You're not posting for his eyes. You're living your life because it's yours and you're finally paying attention to it. That authenticity, that lack of hidden agenda, it pulls on him in ways strategy never could. Because when you're not trying to control how he feels, when you're not managing what he thinks, he's left with just the raw reality of your absence. No game to decode, no act to see through. Just the simple, undeniable truth that you're not there anymore. And he doesn't know what to do with that. That's what makes him miss you. Not your cleverness, not your tactics. Your real lack of interest in whether he notices you're gone. Because the second you stop caring if he misses you, that's when he starts feeling it in everything he does. Let's talk about what I call the pattern disruption. The single most powerful move you can make that turns passing interest into all-consuming longing. And most women never even think about it. This isn't about going cold. It's not about being mean or closed off. It's something more subtle, more quiet, and infinitely more effective. It's about changing the emotional rhythm he's come to expect from you. Here's how it works. When you first connect with someone, you bring a certain energy. Maybe it's warmth, maybe it's lightness, maybe it's deep understanding. Whatever it is, he gets used to it. It becomes the baseline of who you are to him. His nervous system starts expecting that version of you every time you show up. But the fact that you're in his thoughts enough to come out of his mouth, that's everything. Now, here's what's actually happening beneath all of this. When you created that emotional imprint, when you gave him a version of himself he liked being, you became a reference point in his mind. And now, without you, he's noticing the difference. He's comparing moments to how they felt when you were there. He's sitting alone and realizing the quiet feels heavier than it used to. He's with other people, and they don't make him feel the same way you did. That uncomfortable feeling, that restlessness, that's him missing you. But he won't call it that, not yet. He'll just know something feels wrong. He'll feel like he's searching for something he can't name, like there's a piece of his day that's suddenly missing and he doesn't know how to fill it. And that feeling, it doesn't fade, it builds. Because the human mind hates open loops. And you, by pulling away, without warning, without drama, without giving him a chance to understand or fix it, you left a loop open in his psychology. He can't close it. He can't resolve it. So it stays there, humming in the background of everything he does. A constant awareness of your absence that he feels more than he can explain. And that's when missing becomes something deeper. It becomes need. Not just wanting you around, but needing to understand why losing you feels this heavy. That's when you know you're not just gone from his life, you're missing from it. And those are two completely different things. One he'll carry with him every single day until he does something about it. Here's where most women destroy their own power without realizing it. They do everything right at first. They create chemistry, they're present, they make him feel something real. But then, when they want him to miss them, they make one massive mistake. They try too hard to be missed. They start posting things meant to get his attention. They drop hints. They create situations hoping he'll notice they're different. They pull away but then check constantly to see if it's working. And in doing that, they kill the exact thing that would make him miss them. Realness. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You can't make a man miss you if you're still energetically reaching for his attention. Because missing requires him to feel your absence, not your effort to be noticed. Think about this. When do you miss someone the most? When they're actually gone, living their life without looking back at you. Not when they're pretending to be gone while still watching everything you do. Men can feel energy. They might not name it, They might not even realize they're picking up on it. Now, when you shift that energy, not by disappearing, but by changing its temperature, something breaks inside his sense of you. You're still around, but you're different. And he can't figure out why. It's not obvious. You're not giving him the silent treatment. You're not acting hurt or upset. You're just softer, less eager, less available emotionally, even when you're physically there. Your warmth is still present, but it's pulled back. You're there, but somehow not fully reachable, even when he's looking right at you. This creates what psychologists call a disruption in pattern recognition. He starts searching for the version of you he remembers. He'll test you. He'll try to pull that familiar energy back out. He'll make jokes, ask deeper questions, create moments that used to make you open up. And when you don't respond the same way, when that energy stays quietly withdrawn, something in him shifts to panic, not the loud kind, not in any way he'd ever name out loud. But internally, alarm bells start ringing. He begins asking questions inside his own head. Did I do something wrong? Is she pulling away? What changed between us? And here's the critical piece. You're not giving him answers. You're not explaining what shifted. You're not reassuring him that everything's okay. You're just being this new version, this slightly distant version, and letting him sit in that uncertainty, that discomfort, that not knowing. It forces him into a state of mental pursuit. Not because you told him to chase you, but because humans are wired to resolve uncertainty, especially when it involves someone they've felt connected to. His brain literally can't let it go. Every time he's with you, he's studying you, trying to figure out what's different. Every time you're apart, he's replaying moments, searching for clues. And the more he searches, the more mental space you take up. You become a puzzle he can't solve, a shift he can't understand. And that mystery, that unresolved question mark, it keeps you front and center in his thoughts, even when you're nowhere near him. This is where the missing begins. Not because you left, but because even when you're there, you're somehow not fully there anymore. And he feels that absence like a weight on his chest he can't explain. Now, here's something that will change everything you think you know about being missed. The most unforgettable women aren't the ones who do the most. They're the ones who know exactly when to do nothing. Let me explain. There's a moment in every dynamic, every relationship, every connection, where a man starts to get comfortable. He starts to assume you'll always be there, that your affection is guaranteed, that your warmth, your attention, your energy will always be available whenever he decides he wants it. And this is the moment most women miss. Instead of recognizing this shift, they do more. They try harder. They increase their effort, thinking that if they just love him better, show up more consistently, prove their value more clearly, he'll wake up and appreciate them. But here's what actually happens. The more you do in this moment, the more you confirm to his subconscious that you're not going anywhere. That no matter how little effort he puts in, you'll still be there. And once his nervous system registers that, once he feels that safety, that certainty, the tension disappears. And with it, so does the longing. Because longing lives in uncertainty, in the space between having and losing, in the question of will she stay or will she go. So, the women who become impossible to forget, they recognize this moment. And instead of doing more, they do less. Not as manipulation, not as punishment, as self-respect. They stop initiating. They stop being the one who always reaches out first. They stop filling every silence, planning every meetup, carrying every conversation. They pull their energy back and they redirect it back to themselves, back to their own lives, back to the things and people who actually reciprocate their effort. And this shift, this quiet withdrawal of what was once freely given, it creates a vacuum, a space where their presence used to be. And that space, it becomes impossible to ignore. Here's what happens in his mind. At first, he might not even notice consciously, but his body notices, his routine notices, the emotional rhythm of his day feels off. Something's missing and he can't quite put his finger on what. Then, slowly, awareness starts to creep in. She hasn't texted. She didn't check in like she usually does. She's not asking about my day. She seemed fine, but distant. What's going on? And because you haven't made it a conversation, because you haven't announced your shift or demanded he notice, he can't categorize it as conflict. He can't file it away as just another fight will get past. It sits in him as confusion, as unease, as a growing sense that something's changing and he has no control over it. That lack of control, that's what triggers the missing. Because now, for the first time maybe, he's wondering if you'll be there tomorrow, if your energy will come back, if he's already lost something he didn't know he was holding. And that fear, that quiet panic, it makes him feel your absence in everything. The silence of his phone, the emptiness of his evening, the lack of someone asking him how he's doing. He starts to miss the small things, the things he never thought about when they were there. Your good morning text, the way you laughed at his jokes, how you made him feel interesting just by listening. And here's the shift that breaks him. He realizes all of that could just stop, that you could just decide he's not worth your energy anymore. And suddenly, you're not the sure thing he took for granted. You're the thing he's terrified of losing. That's the power of doing nothing at the exact right moment. It's not about games. It's about valuing yourself enough to stop performing for someone who's stopped showing up. And when you do that, when you really do that, you don't just make him miss you. You make him question everything he thought he knew about how much you meant to him. By now, you've learned something most women never figure out. You understand that being missed isn't about doing more. It's about knowing when to pull back. It's about creating space for someone to feel your absence instead of constantly proving your presence. You've seen how men don't miss people, they miss feelings, and how the most powerful thing you can do is become associated with a feeling he can't find anywhere else, then quietly withdraw access to it. But here's what I need you to understand before we end this. Everything I've shared with you is powerful, it works, it will absolutely make him miss you, maybe even obsess over you. But the real question isn't, can you make him miss you? It's, should you? Because here's the truth. This isn't about control. It's not about punishing someone for not treating you right. It's not about playing games until he comes running back. This is about something deeper. It's about reclaiming your energy, about recognizing when you're overgiving and having the strength to stop, about understanding that your presence is a privilege, not a right. And if someone isn't honoring that, you don't need to convince them. You just need to redirect your attention to people and things that actually value what you bring. So yes, use what you've learned here. Pull back your energy. Create space. Let him feel what life is like without your warmth, but do it from a place of self-respect, not strategy. Do it because you genuinely deserve better, not because you're trying to manipulate an outcome. And here's what happens when you do it that way. One of two things. Either he wakes up, he feels your absence, realizes what he had, and shows up differently with real effort, real consistency, real appreciation. And if that happens, you'll know it's real because you didn't have to beg for it. You just had to stop accepting less than you deserve. Or he doesn't. He stays comfortable in his low effort. He doesn't rise to meet you. He doesn't chase what he lost. And if that happens, you've just been given the clearest answer you could ask for. He wasn't your person. Because your person, the right person, won't need to lose you to realize your value. But if they do, they'll move heaven and earth to get you back. So, as we close this, I want you to carry one truth with you. You're not hard to miss. You're not difficult to appreciate. You've just been giving your energy to people who weren't ready to receive it properly. And that's not a reflection of your worth. That's a reflection of their capacity. The version of you that knows this, the one who can pull back her energy without guilt, who can walk away without looking back, who can love herself enough to stop fighting for someone who isn't fighting for her. That's the version that doesn't just get missed. That's the version that gets remembered forever. So stop trying so hard to be unforgettable. Just be someone who knows when to walk away. And trust me, he'll spend the rest of his life wishing he'd given you a reason to stay.